up, motherfuckers? It's what's it called? Wednesday night. I've released a few videos today, and I figured I would do the AEW review as well. However, I fell asleep, and when I woke up, it was like 11. So I went back and I watched AEW, and I'm doing this video now, motherfuckers. Right? This actually was not a bad episode. I'm not gonna lie. I enjoyed quite a few things here, but the things that I didn't enjoy were so bad that I could not bring myself to give this episode more than a nice 5 out of 10, motherfuckers. 5 out of 10. So, without further ado, let's get to it. First of all, we start off with the obligatory, weekly beginning segment that they have in every episode of AEW Dynamite, which is just people talking about what's going to happen that day, it just shows Cucky Rhodes talking about how, he only envisions himself as champion. And then he kind of complains a little bit about how, even though he's ranked number 1, he can't have a title shot. And I'm like, dog, you did that to yourself. That was your own choice, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? So, there you go. We had that right there. And that led us directly to Cucky Rhodes versus Darby Allin. Now, this match is stupid. Cody Rhodes is just, everybody knows that I hate that motherfucker. I really do. He has some positives, but he's got so many negatives that it's not even worth discussing, how shitty this guy is overall, So, long story short, the match happens. Darby Allin goes for a few coffin drops. He tried to do one, where he springboards off the rope and basically just jumped backwards and did, a coffin pose, and Cody just caught him, He just hugged him from behind. I'm just like, that's your finishing move? That's your move? It can be countered by a guy just hugging you like a bitch. You know what I'm saying? So, there you go. That was that. I mean, there was a lot of stuff happening here, but there was a lot of bullshit too, The match ends with them stealing each other's finishers and fucking, Cucky Rhodes going for, for a coffin drop himself, right? Darby Allin gets his knees up. Cucky hits the knees. Darby Allin climbs up, does his own coffin drop. Here's where things get retarded. He hits the coffin drop and then pins Cody. But he's so stupid that he doesn't even realize that while he's pinning Cody, his own shoulders are up. Are on the mat. And Cody's shoulder is up. So it's Cody that's pinning him. This wasn't presented as a counter. This wasn't presented as Cody did something clever. This was presented straight up, physically, the manifestations of what was happening in the ring. Jericho and Tony Schiavone tried to cover for it, but what you saw in the ring was just Darby Allin being the dumbest wrestler you ever seen in your life. He pinned the guy sideways while his own shoulders were on the ground. He's so stupid, he doesn't realize that his shoulders are on the ground and that Cucky Rhodes' shoulders aren't on the ground. And he thinks he's pinning him. The referee counts 1, 2, 3. Darby starts celebrating like he won. But in fact, it was Cucky Rhodes that pinned him. This is the most ridiculous thing ever. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. This is the equivalent of, let's say you're watching a basketball game and Team A, let's say the Memphis Grizzlies, have the ball, right? And then the Denver Nuggets come up, they steal the ball from the Memphis Grizzlies, only for them to turn around and score in their own basket. You understand what I'm saying? That's how stupid this was. This was preposterous. This was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in AEW. And for this week, this is the reason why this show doesn't get a more respectable, almost 7 out of 10 rating, and it's stuck on a 5 out of 10, maybe a 4 out of 10, what the fucks. Next up, we had Wardlow versus a jobber. Wardlow is awesome. I love Wardlow. This guy has the look, he's a big motherfucker, and he's got interesting moves. He has the F10, which is what he won the match with, which is a spinning, airplane spin F5. And then more importantly, one of my new favorite moves, where he grabs the guy while the guy's feet are on the corner, and he does a thumbs up, thumbs down, drops the guy and knees him upwards into his dome piece. I like Wardlow. I enjoyed this. It was good. This is what a squash match should be like. Apparently it was big news that last week Cucky Omega made that other guy look good. That guy who looked like a jobber, he looks like enhancement talent. Kenny Omega made him look good. And Dave Meltzer was like, oh, blah, blah. That was pretty good. I want to see that again. That kind of bullshit, right? No, motherfucks. Enhancement talent is there to enhance. Enhancement talent is there to do what this guy did for Wardlow. If Wardlow wrestles the guy that had a 25-minute match with Kenny Omega, You know what I'm saying? Is Wardlow going to have a 25-minute match with him? No. Then why would Wardlow even be afraid of Kenny Omega? You know what I mean? It's called a transitive property, cucks. Learn it. Next up, we had Jimmy Havoc and Chris Sabian versus the Best Friends in what was easily the greatest match in AEW history. I really enjoyed this match. It was like a hardcore brawl. There was a lot of great spots. And this match was an awesome match. Like, the best match in TNA history, like in my opinion. It's not even close. The only thing about this match that sucked was the fact that they had to involve Orange Cassidy, because you can't have this guy out without having him be involved in the match. Now, despite that, like, him being involved made sense, because early in the match, Jimmy Havoc just violently throws a chair at Orange Cassidy's head while they're on the outside, and Orange Cassidy sells it like a champ, I'm not gonna lie. He looked like a dead bird, you know, like, he just sold it, he like spread open, he just looked like he was like a bird that was run over by a car, you know what I mean? It was pretty great. And then you had like Penelope Ford and some other shit that you don't really need, but the match made sense. There was a lot of crazy hardcore things going on here. They did the spot with the two folded up chairs where they laid Trent Beretta, they slammed Trent Beretta on it, and then Kip Sabian did a double foot stomp onto that chair. It was pretty good, man. I'm not going to lie. It was pretty awesome. The Best Friends win after Orange Cassidy comes and takes out Kip Sabian and what's-her-face, Penelope Ford. And Chuck Taylor hits the Omega Driver, also known as the Awful Waffle. Like, from the turnbuckle, he just runs halfway through the ring and just does the Awful Waffle on like a pile of steel chairs. This was fucking great. This is what I like. I want to see things like this. Things where you're like, oh, holy shit. One guy just threw another chair at another guy, you know? Like, I don't want to see Kenny Omega doing a running knee and then a Snapdragon and hearing JR say, oh, best Snapdragon in the business. Like as if that's some sort of accolade. I want to see crazy shit, man. And this match had crazy shit. I really enjoyed that. At a certain point in the match, I'm probably not saying this in order, but we had, we had Dean Ambrose come up and say, like, I'll be there live next week. Which begs the question, where the fuck are these motherfuckers, man? You know what I mean? Like, that's one thing that sucks about wrestling, and it sucks more in AEW as compared to WWE, is that, like, the champion isn't around. You know, at least on Raw, Drew McIntyre shows up there. I mean, Drew McIntyre is stale as fuck, if you ask me, but he shows up there, you know what I mean? And, like, I understand that there's some people that have restrictions, but it's supposed to be your champion, you know? You gotta find a way to make that happen, man. You gotta find a way, like, or at least involve him every week through, like, I don't know, Skype or something, right? There was a bubbly bunch thing. I must have skipped it while skipping the commercials. I couldn't give a fuck. It was good the first time, like, because it was, you know, it was funny, finger on the pulse. But now it's just, like, played out, you know. At a certain point, we had another match. It was Brody Lee versus Marco Stunt. I really enjoyed this match as well. I'm not going to lie, man. Marco Stunt, this is exactly what Marco Stunt should be doing in wrestling. In WWE, in AEW, wherever the fuck he ends up. This is exactly why he should be signed and what he should be doing. He should be out there so someone like Luke Harper can throw him around and we can enjoy just this guy just getting destroyed and getting thrown around like a mug. You know what I'm saying? That was cool. I enjoyed that a lot. Again, the problem is that they don't know how to use their enhancement talent, because based on these last two episodes, you would think that the guy that wrestled Kenny Omega is like the signed wrestler and that Marco Stunt is the enhancement talent. But nonetheless, it was good. I gotta say, though, on the other hand, the more and more I see the Exalted One, Brody Lee, the more and more I realize that he was a jobber, man. Like, I used to like this guy in WWE for a little bit, and I had heard of him before. Like, he was in ROH for a little bit. But let's be real, I don't like this guy. He's not, like, he's just weird looking, man. You know, like, I know they want to portray him as this monster heel, and this is why, like, Jericho even made a dig at Vince McMahon during commentary. He's like, he's not a Southerner, he's an eloquent man. And I'm like, dude, he may be an eloquent man, but him playing a Southerner, like a guy with a Southern accent, who's like some sort of backwoods hit, makes more sense. And it's more entertaining. What the fuck is entertaining about a Vince McMahon ripoff? Oh, like what kind of a character is that? He's an eloquent man. No one cares about the fucks. What do you think about that? The problem with Brody Lee is that, here's probably what happened, right? Brody Lee, Luke Harper, whatever the fuck you wanted to call himself at that point, went to Vince McMahon's office and he said, Vince, I have an idea for a gimmick. The idea is I'm an eloquent guy who talks well and is a monster heel that beats people up and collects things from them. And Vince McMahon probably looked at him and said, well, Luke, considering that I could beat you in arm wrestling right now at age 70, I don't think that's a good gimmick for you, pal. You understand what I'm saying? Luke Harper is a tall guy, and I'm sure he's a strong guy. He's not like he doesn't look like a bitch or anything like that. But the facts are what they are. Luke Harper just looks like a normal guy. Like a normal tall guy, but he looks like a normal guy. Like this guy doesn't have like one muscle on him, you know what I mean? Again, he's not skinny, and he's not, I mean, he's kind of skinny fat, let's be honest. He's a little fat, right? He's tall, he's not lanky, I guess, but he's not muscular. Like, you can look at Luke Harper and just conclude that he's never been to the gym in his life. You know what I mean? And he's just naturally strong. And Vince McMahon's like, dude, like, you can't be a monster heel because people are going to compare you to people like Kane. Like, compare Kane to Luke Harper. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine if Kane and Luke Harper were, like, in WWE at the same time in their prime, right? And Luke Harper was like the collector. Kane would just come out, choke slam him, and that'd be the end of that. That'd be the end of Luke Harper's career. He would treat him like he treated fake Kane, imposter Kane. Remember that? Like, it's fucking stupid, man. It doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be a monster heel if you don't look like a monster. You know, Luke Harper is a big guy, but that's it. There's nothing like monstrous about him. Like, Wardlow is a better fit for that role than Luke Harper. Luke Harper is just a dude. He's just a dude, and like, here's how you know a wrestler is like not that good. When people have to like make things up about this person, and then like you know when the announcer says something and you're like, what? I don't really see it that way at all. You know? That happens a lot with people like Luke Harper. You know what I mean? Like, Luke Harper's just looking, like, he's just looking straight, and then like Tony Schiavone's like, wow, look at that intensity. What's intense about it, man? He has his mouth closed and he's looking at someone. And he looks angry. Why is he like more intense than any other guy that does the same thing? Why is he more intense than Tessa Blanchard? You know what I'm saying? What the fuck is this nonsense? Like, when they start adding phantom qualities to random wrestlers, you know that the wrestler sucks ass. You know what I mean? Like when you see some wrestler that's small, they always have to have like a big heart, right? Things that you cannot see and people add onto the wrestler personality, right? These are things that are not good things. These are indicators that the wrestler is not good enough, right? You know, what would be a great gimmick? How about a small wrestler who doesn't have heart? Why is it that every black wrestler is like a great athlete and likes to have fun? And why is it that every small wrestler has a lot of heart? You know, let's break some stereotypes, man. But everyone that's under 5'6" has an incredible amount of heart? No, what the fuck? That makes no sense. You know what I'm saying? That would actually be a good gimmick, just like a comedy wrestler who's like a small guy who's also like a pussy. You know what I mean? All the small guys are always like willing to die in the ring, you know? So that's what I gotta say about that. Luke Harper gets a lot of like praise for qualities that he doesn't have. You know what I'm saying? There's qualities that he has that I praise him for. Like, for example, he's got good moves. You know what I mean? And he's like athletic enough. Like, I think he's like on the same level of athleticism as like Daniel Bryan. You know, he does the same moves as Daniel Bryan. So I think he's better than Daniel Bryan, but that's not a very high standard, motherfuckers. But all these wrestlers that are getting these like brownie points, if you will, for qualities that they don't have, you know, like when a wrestler says, oh, I'm charismatic, or oh, what a charismatic wrestler this guy is. You know, no. Did anyone ever say, like when The Rock was in his prime or Stone Cold were in their prime, did anyone ever say, wow, how charismatic is The Rock and Stone Cold? No one ever said that. Because you don't need to explain to me that The Rock is charismatic or that Austin is charismatic. You know, I could just look at them and be like, wow, these guys are cool. Oh, they're charismatic. You know what I mean? I don't need to be told these things. When an announcer tells you, like, this guy's that probably means this guy isn't that, but I want you to think he is, right? And that's kind of the problem with AEW as a whole. It's like you have these like average dudes. Like, you have average dudes, man. A lot of people in AEW are like Santana or Ortiz, like the smaller one. That guy's like a normal guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's like a normal guy by every standard. He's not like, he doesn't seem like he works out. He's not too tall. He's not too short. He's just like a dude. You know, like they just picked him up and they're like, you, do these moves. You're good to go, kid. You know what I'm saying? At least Kenny Omega and some of these guys actually have physiques, you know? But I mean, like, you know, they're still small motherfuckers, but you understand what I'm saying, right? After this, I think it was time for the main event, motherfuckers. The main event. The main event was the Murder Hawk Monster, Lance Archer versus Goldust, right? Now, obviously, Lance Archer was going to win this match to set up Lance Archer versus Cucky Rhodes for the TNT title, for the prestigious TNT title, or the prestigious Tuwake trophy. So there you have it, Cucks. This match happened. The match was whatever. I mean, I don't know how I can get behind this. Like, this is Goldust. This is a guy that, like, Eric Escobar would beat in, like, 3 minutes on SmackDown. You know what I mean? Like, this is a guy that was, like, a jobber for, like, the last 25 years of his career. You know? Like, straight up, like, 100% of the time, last 25 years, he was a jobber. Even when he was a champion, he was a jobber. Like, when him and Booker T were tag champions, it was like Booker T, like the whole storyline was Booker T is, like, too good to be a tag team champion, and Goldust is not good enough to be a tag team champion. So Booker T's like, that discrepancy is what corrects it and makes them an actual team, right? So there you have it, motherfucks. I mean, this match was not exciting at all. Like, considering that I knew what was going to happen, and also that, like, Goldust is in it, and it's, like, going to be a long match just because, like, Goldust is not a jobber anymore in AEW. I mean, that's how that was, you know what I'm saying? Like, Lance Archer wins after bashing Goldust's head into the exposed turnbuckle. And then QT Marshall's going to throw in the towel. Cucky Rhodes comes out and is like, we're not throwing in the towel. So basically, what's his face? Lance Archer pulls Goldust into the ring and then like kind of does like a claw on his head, bounces the head a couple of times off the mat, and then just like pins him like that, you know, like puts a knee on his chest and pins him, which was stupid because the entire story, the entire premise was that like Cody Rhodes refuses to throw in the towel. So what should have happened then, right, is Lance Archer should have just destroyed Goldust some more, right, and then pinned him, but done some more damage, right, to kind of explain that not throwing in the towel was a dumb move, right? Now, this reminded me a lot of Kickboxer, the movie Kickboxer, because we had like a brother that's getting destroyed by a guy with a single brain, like Tong Po in Kickboxer. If you motherfuckers haven't seen Kickboxer, I recommend it. Don't watch the Batista one with George St. Pierre, all that stupid shit. Go watch the original one with Van Damme, motherfuckers. That was a great movie. So, that's Jean-Claude Van Damme, in case some of you are like, oh, Rob Van Damme, Kickboxer. No. Jean-Claude Van Damme. Cut! Anyways, this match, I did not like it. I didn't like the story behind it. And I don't like how it's going to continue. Because the implications here are the following. That Cucky Rhodes, now, like I predicted this from the beginning. As soon as they showed the brackets, I told you motherfuckers it was going to be Cucky Rhodes versus Lance Archer. And I'm not even impressed by me picking it because it was clear as day, right? But, like, I believe that Lance Archer is going to win. But let's say Cody does, right? Like, imagine what that means right there. That means that we're supposed to believe that Goldust gets destroyed by this guy, but Cucky Rhodes comes out on top. The implications there are that Cucky Rhodes is better than Goldust. Now, Cucky Rhodes is younger than Goldust, and he's more athletic than Goldust, sure. But realistically speaking, like how old is Goldust? Goldust is like 50. You know, a lot of people, like I have a friend, he thinks that like once someone gets old, they're just like decrepit, right? Like a 50-year-old, like the average 50-year-old, I would say, can beat up the average 20-year-old. I mean, when I say average, I'm talking about like average who's not like sick, you know what I mean? Obviously, there's some 50-year-olds that have like chronic back problems and things of that nature, right? But the average healthy 50-year-old, like Dustin Rhodes, you know, Goldust, if you took him to like, I don't know, like pick a random college in the United States, and you took him to like a frat party, he would beat the shit out of all those guys. You know what I'm saying? He's a big dude, man. Goldust is a big motherfucker, and he's like athletic, and he's not a pussy. I mean, he's got some pussy tendencies, but you know what I'm saying, right? Cucky Rhodes would not be able to beat up Goldust in real life as far as I'm concerned. You know, because in real life, you can't do the beautiful disaster and win a match. In real life, you have to start punching people in the face. And Goldust is a real one, and Cody Rhodes ain't, motherfuckers. So the implications here are that not only can Cucky Rhodes beat Goldust, but he can also beat Lance Archer, who would eat him alive. I mean, let's be real, motherfuckers. Also, on that same vein, Lance Archer, I don't really like him that much either. He reminds me more of Brody Lee and less than Wardlow, because these are the three big guys they got. I don't count Jack Swagger, who's like there 1 week and then is gone for another 8, right? Like, Lance Archer, there's just a sloppiness to him. I don't know how to explain it. There is a sloppiness to him. Like, I mean, he's kind of fat. He can go lose 20, 30 pounds, honestly, right? He's kind of fat and he's not that muscular, right? I have to compare that size of wrestler, like the 6 foot, 6'7" and above wrestler, like those guys, I have to compare them to the 6'7" guys that are awesome, like Kane. You know what I'm saying? I keep bringing Kane up, but Kane, I mean, like, do you think, like, if you looked at Prime Kane and Lance Archer, right? Like, what do you think would happen? Kane would grab him by the throat and just slam him on the ground, and that'd be it. Choke slam from hell. You know what I'm saying? It'd be the end, right? Or even like a JBL, who like was like a stocky guy. You know, he was like kind of fat. He had the man boobs a little bit, but he looked like he could kick your ass because he had the build. You know, he had the build. He had the speed, right? And he wasn't just like he wasn't skinny. He was big. You know, you look at JBL, you're like, that's a big motherfucker, right? Like JBL when he was with Farouk, he was like, I mean, I don't say he was jacked, but he was like, you could tell he was a powerful guy. Lance Archer, you could tell he's a strong guy. Don't get me wrong, but he doesn't. But he's held back by his skinny fatness, right? He needs to lose some weight. It's simple as that. So he looks more jacked. Compare that to the return of the modern day Maharaja fitness motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Jinder Mahal looking like a beast. You know, he came back looking like a beast still. You know, he's not a beast. Like, now, who'd win a fight, Jinder Mahal or Lance Archer? I mean, I would honestly take Lance Archer, but that's only because he's like much bigger. But the point I'm trying to make is that Lance Archer could have superstar qualities, but he doesn't because he does not look the part. Like, he doesn't look like this like menacing monster, right? Like, Kane looks like a menacing monster. Kane looks like someone like you do not want to fuck with Kane. Like his arms. Remember when Kane cut off one of like the sleeves to his attire, and then eventually came out with like the Kane tank top? Like, and you saw how fucking jacked this guy was. Like, his arms are just like monstrous. You know what I'm saying? You're like, holy shit, I don't want to fuck with Kane. Kane will fuck me up, motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? So there you have it. I mean, that's what we need to see. We need to see some monsters like this. And the only one they got is Wardlow. So there you go, motherfuckers. If it weren't for the Darby Allin versus Cucky Rhodes match, which in my opinion is the worst match in the history of TNA, this would have been a great episode. This would have been one of the best episodes ever of AEW. But because of that, it gets a nice solid 5 out of 10, motherfuckers. All right, I'll see you guys soon, bitches.